A writer lies about being a perfect housewife, so her boss and a returning war hero decide to invite themselves to her home for Christmas. Christmas in Connecticut is the movie that placed 24th in our 25 Days of Christmas movie marathon. And it is a film that I've never seen before, so let's see if I like it or not. Now, before I get into the summary and review, let me first say that this is not intended to replace watching the movie, but is supposed to be a summary and review. Please watch the movie and form your own opinion of it.
Go downstairs to be married
Also,
by the
spoiler
judge
alert,
they had
of course,
kicked out earlier.
if you haven't seen this movie and don't want me to spoil anything, please skip to this point right here. You've been warned. So, without further ado, I present our 24th place pick, Christmas in Connecticut.
This film opens in the middle of the sea where we see a submarine blow up an American battleship. There are only 2 survivors and we see them talk about what they're going to do if they get home.
What do you think? Food.
He doesn't get the meal he wants, but instead he gets this.
A lovely raw egg floating in your milk.
We see an article in a magazine by Elizabeth Lane in which she discusses how she made a 7-course meal.
Roast goose, Bernoise, with walnut dressing.
The soldier, Jeff, tries to get the nurse to like him so that he can eat normal food. And it works so well that the nurse expects him to propose.
Marriage and domesticity, they frighten you, don't they?
She decides to try to get him home for the holidays to make him feel better by writing to someone she knows.
If he spent Christmas in a real homey home, he might. That's how Sally Jackson hooked a Marine last year.
Yardley receives the letter and decides to schedule a trip to Elizabeth Lane's farm. The writer from before turns out she lives in the concrete jungle of New York instead of a farm. She doesn't cook, she orders out food and gets all her recipes from a chef who delivers the food.
Those recipes for next month's
Yes,
article.
darling.
What am I cooking?
Look here. Breast of Grazov.
Elizabeth teams up with her boss to devise a plan to prevent Jeff from visiting her fake farm.
That's just it. We'll have to stall him off. You know what a stickler he is for the truth. If he ever finds out we've been making all this up, he'll fire the both of us.
Her plan has the opposite effect and sounds more like she is signing up to bring him to her house.
Yes, you're going to invite me to join your Christmas party.
The group prepares to lose their jobs.
Yes, I'm going to lose my job, Felix.
Bet you, that's nothing, so you get another job.
And John the rich guy decides that this is his in and proposes to her and says that if she says yes, then she can use his farm in Connecticut.
We're going to be married.
What? Hey, now look here, Elizabeth. It isn't that bad.
She says yes, but she can't cook.
I can't cook.
She can't cook.
Why, she can't cook.
She can't cook, but that's okay. She can bring her chef friend Felix, the person who delivers her food. They arrive at the farm and get married in the farmhouse, and she is saved by the sleigh bells.
Together in the
Oh, John is the sailing!
Elizabeth falls in love with the soldier at first sight, as most do in a Christmas movie.
Merry Christmas, Mr. Jones.
He hears the baby crying and says that in her article it's time for the baby's bath. They decide to bathe the baby together. Luckily, he knows how to bathe the baby, and all she has to do is watch.
Do you mind if I watch?
Watch? Oh, no.
At this point, the movie significantly slows down and we learn that Jeff can sing and play the piano. Elizabeth falls more in love with him.
She's come to my aid.
Everyone retires to bed early and John and Elizabeth go downstairs to be married by the judge who they had kicked out earlier. She ends up getting dragged away from her marriage ceremony by a cow mooing, and Jeff decides to help Elizabeth with taking the cow back to the barn. John becomes upset with Elizabeth and feels as if she is deliberately postponing the wedding.
It's been a very upsetting evening. I mean, of all the insane, inconsiderate things to do.
Could I help it if the cow got loose?
The cow, fine, how do you do? The judge was very annoyed.
The next morning, Elizabeth helps Felix with cooking breakfast in an attempt to prove to her boss that she can cook.
Watch now. I show you how to flip-flop the flop flips.
Another wedding ceremony, this time it's postponed because the baby swallowed a watch.
I gave him to play with it. He put it in her mouth. Goodbye, watch.
Her boss notices that the baby looks completely different today.
That's strange. He looks different this morning.
Well, wouldn't you look different if you'd swallowed a watch?
Turns out Felix is just a good wingman, and the baby did not swallow a watch.
Felix! Oh. Oh, Felix, you did it to stop the wedding.
John is offered a job while he tries to tell him that Elizabeth is lying to him.
It's war planning. I need an editor for it, Sloan. A man who is honest and dependable.
Elizabeth is pressured into flipping a pancake, and somehow she can do it with her eyes closed. Jeff is offered the opportunity to go to a party that night, and everyone decides to go with him.
Elizabeth?
A dance? Do you dance, Mr. Jones?
And they party hard, and Jim and Elizabeth become more intertwined with each other. Elizabeth's boss becomes more suspicious of her and follows them while they go on a sleigh ride. He ends up losing them when he trips and falls into a ditch. The two lovebirds end up getting arrested because they stole a sleigh. Meanwhile, Elizabeth's boss catches the mother of the baby coming into the house and taking the baby. He freaks out and calls the police, not knowing that it wasn't Elizabeth's baby.
It's an emergency. A baby has been kidnapped.
The police drop off Elizabeth and Jeff the next morning at the house, and they find everyone asleep. The boss confronts Elizabeth by telling them that her baby has been stolen, and Elizabeth wants to tell him the truth, but he pulls the same crap from before and cuts her off every time she starts talking.
I believe you to be the finest, the most exemplary wife and mother.
Mr. Yardley, if you just sit down and calm yourself.
Of all the brazen cheek.
The women bring their babies in at the same time, and now it's time to tell the truth.
Which one is yours, Mrs. Sloan?
Hers? You make fun. But these are our babies.
Of course she gets fired for lying, then she and John get in a fight and break off the deal.
That settles it.
What's the matter? Is something bust?
Plenty.
And to make things worse, the nurse from the beginning of the movie shows up and tells them that she is engaged to Jeff.
This is Miss Mary Lee.
Oh, yes, your fiancée.
She lied about getting engaged and says that she actually got married to Jeff's friend.
You got some eddies.
I'm married Sinky.
Hmm? You married? Well,
Felix saves the day again and gets Elizabeth her job back through the power of food, but he also doubled her salary through the power of food.
Yes, Mr. Yardley?
yes, everything is hunky-dunky. Very hunky-dunky.
Finally, they kiss.
Why did you do that?
I changed my type.
What do you mean?
Then Jeff gets a little weird.
There's only one thing to do with you.
Yes? Let's do it.
No.
Then the two fall in love. The end.
What a Christmas. What a Christmas.
Christmas in Connecticut is a beautiful romantic film for the holidays, but it becomes very slow at times. It suffers from one thing: show it, don't tell it. In this film, everything is told to you rather than shown. I didn't have to be told where they got the baby. Instead, they should have just shown us a woman dropping off her child and maybe saying she was late for work. But this happens many times over the film, not just once, and it really slows the pace of the movie down. So much at times that it becomes boring. Overall, the story is really good and fun. It just suffers from telling it rather than showing it. That's why I give it 3.5 Santas out of 5. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and see you tomorrow with the film that made it into 23rd place in our 25 Days of Christmas movie marathon. See ya, and Merry Christmas.